Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am going to show you today how to do the edge coating on the strap connector for the Everyday Crossbody Companion by Kaur Threads. I just figured I would keep this video separate from the tutorial so it would be easy to find. She has these gorgeous strap end connectors here included in the pattern. She does have cut files, SVG cut files. I cut mine out by hand. It works great either way, whatever is best for you. And they look amazing if you edge coat. And I know a lot of you are a little scared to dive in to the edge coating world. It's not as scary as you think. It's pretty easy. It's pretty basic. And I'm going to show you, I am no pro. I don't do it all the time, but I've done it enough that I kind of know little tips and tricks. And how to get a nice looking connector. So what we are going to do is go through the step-by-step of how I did this. It takes a while. It has to dry like 30 minutes in between coats. So another reason why I'm not doing this live, I'm doing a recorded video for you all. So you can see the process of edge coating these. I would highly recommend it. Just have a little station set up that you can come back to and add layers as you're working on your bag. And it's totally doable. So let's get started and I will show you how to do these. So the things that I need to edge coat, I have my pieces all cut out and ready to go. I went ahead and did my Decaville on 2 pieces like she requires in the pattern. So go ahead and add that first. The other 2 are the other sides, don't need it. I have 4 total. I am using the For Real vinyl by Tulip Bee. It's kind of a leather-like feel. It's beautiful for edge coating. It's beautiful for connectors. So I would highly recommend that as your material. I have a base coat. Highly recommend a base coat. It'll help smooth everything out and prep it for the paint. Do not skip a base coat. This is a Giardini. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's just what I had. My paint is going to be Mojo Sews. She has everything you need for edge painting all of your bags. She has base coat too, but I had this bottle already opened and I like this kind as well. So Mojo Sews, Giardini, and then you need something to apply the layers of base coat and paint with. I have this edge roller here. Some people use toothpicks. You can get creative, but these are pretty awesome. They're not expensive. Again, you can get them from Mojo Sews when you buy paint. I would do that. The other tool I have is, this is called a handy helper, right? I think a handy helper. It's great for when you're doing little pieces like this. I can clip it up to dry, right? I'm just going to clip my pieces like that as I'm doing my layers of painting to dry so it's up and out of the way. You can get creative with how you want to lay your pieces to dry, but just have something to lay them on. And then the last thing I have, you either need a cup of water and some paper towels or some wipes. I have some wipes here. It's paint. It can get messy. I highly recommend that you're doing it on a surface that you don't mind getting the paint on. And I have a wipe handy at all times. I will wash this roller in between layers because you don't want it to sit and dry on your roller. You want to keep your roller nice and clean for every layer. So make sure you clean this in between coating. And all right, let's start doing our edge coats. So the first thing I want to do is just do these edges of the piece because as you can see on this connector, our webbing is going in between the layers, right? And so we're not going to be able to edge coat from here to here once we have attached this all together. So we want to edge coat from about where this curve begins all the way over to where it ends here. So just this edge piece. So I'm going to get my piece here. I've got my base coat. Make sure that you put on your lid right after you use it. It does dry out pretty quickly. It is paint. It's meant to dry quick. And I'm just going to take it with a thin layer and just do a thin layer. It's not going to take much over each edge, okay? That right there and there. And then I will clip it up to dry. I'm going to do that 4 times. I'm going to do a total of 2 layers of base. This is what I did on my other ones. I did 2 layers of base coat and 2 layers of paint. And I really like how it turned out. If you get any drips or any big lumps, if your base coat is too thick, you can thin it down with a couple drops of water. That is a possibility. Sandpaper works great for getting it smooth before you do your paint coat if you've got some issues with the layers, okay? So have some little fine grit, really fine grit sandpaper handy too, because that'll come in use. All right, so that's 4 pieces. My first layer of base coat. That one's a little thicker than the others. There we go. Looks good. That's it. That's all I got to do. It's really simple. So I'm going to walk away for about 30 minutes, work on the bag, do the tutorial for the bag while this all dries. And then I'll come back. I'll do a second coat and just repeat until I get all 4 layers of my 2 base and my 2 paint on these pieces. And then I'll show you how to put them together to make this strap. All right, it's been about 30 minutes. We're ready for base coat number 2 on these pieces. So here I go again. Here I go again on my own. All right. A 1. Super easy, guys. Like I said, it's just, you know, as long as you have it set up somewhere and you just come back to it in between the steps on your project, you'll get it done in no time. All right, that's it. Walk away for 30 minutes again and we'll come back and put our first layer of color on it. All right, so I'm ready to head into the color here. So I've got black, so I have 2 layers of base. So now I'm going to do my black. Sometimes the paint dries and these lids are kind of hard to get on and off. So, and I have spilled many a paint before. That's why I have wipes right by me. All right, so this paint, you want to do thin layer. I'm going to do 2 layers. Again, that's just what I did on my last one, and I thought it looked nice. So I'm going to do 2 layers of the black on this piece. You don't need a lot on your roller tool. And again, I'm just doing down this edge and around the corners. That much. That's it. Super easy. So I'm going to do, and again, 30 minutes in between coats is plenty because they're not thick. They're pretty thin little layers. And after 2 coats of black, I'll put the connectors together with my webbing in the middle and then do all of the pieces for that. And then we will paint the entirety of it. Beautiful. Okay. I'll be back in 30 minutes. All right, here we are back over here for our second coat. It feels nice and dry. So a lot of people do top coats as well. For something simple like a strap connector, I'm not going to worry about a top coat. Totally up to you though. That would add 1 more layer. I don't love that. Let's see if I can fix that without it being a total mess. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna try that again. It kind of bled onto my piece and I didn't like the way it looked. That's better. All right, I'm gonna do all 4 pieces again. And then after this is dry, we're going to add the webbing and connect these pieces together. And then we'll do more painting. Easy fix. If you just wipe it right away, another reason I like to have wipes by my painting. Okay, gonna let that dry and then we will complete putting these together and then we'll paint those as one. All right, so here we are. We're all edge coated on this edge here on all 4 of them. So we're gonna add our webbing. So we're gonna take our webbing that we prepped here. I put tape front and back on the bottom part. I'm also gonna use some Gorilla Glue as well to get these layers to stick together. So I'm gonna put this one on one of them, just try and center it up in the middle, about right there, maybe a little bit further down. About right there. Okay, beautiful. And now I'm gonna sandwich this on top. I'm gonna put some glue. I've got this like Gorilla Glue with a brush nozzle. I'm just going to glue, because I don't want them shifting when I sew it. I'm gonna brush the glue on. And I just do my stitching on this. I do it all together. In the pattern, she has you do it in 2 separate steps because when you do it all together, how do I say this? The wrong side of your stitching is gonna show on the right side of your connector. So if your tension is off on your stitches, it might look a little funky. Mine was pretty good last time. I'm not gonna worry about that. So I'll do it in one whole thing. All right, so now I just want to attach this. And I wanna line it up as evenly as I can here. Now, if it's a little off, that's okay. The paint, especially when you do your base layers, it really covers the uneven, little tiny uneven edges pretty dang well. So I'm just gonna try and get mine as even as possible here. You could put some clips on it. We're gonna sew it together first, so I just wanna get that glue to stick though. We're gonna sew it next. Looks pretty dang even. Come on, stick. Nope. A smaller one. There we go. It doesn't want to stick on that side. That's okay. That's okay. Go right there. Looks pretty good. It's pretty even. All right. So I'm going to do that to this next one here as well. It's not as thick on this one, so it's not as bulky. All right. Now you could use double-sided tape instead of glue. That's an option. You could just do clips, like whatever you want to do for this part. I was pretty successful last time with doing the glue, so that's what I'm going to do again. It's pretty even. Now sometimes there's, you know, it's if you cut it by hand, there might be a spot where it needs to be trimmed down a little bit. I could maybe trim it the tiniest bit right there. I might do that real quick. But for the most part, it looks pretty even. All right, I'm going to take these over to my machine. I'm going to stitch them. And then we're going to edge coat it as one piece. All right, that's when we do the whole thing together. All right. All right, so we have our connectors here. So get a little closer. So on the pattern, she has you starting about right here and coming up and around and ending there, pulling through and tying your stitches. That is because we are folding it like this. So one side becomes the wrong side. And sometimes your stitches don't look as good on one side as the other. Mine turned out great last time. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to do the entire thing around. Totally up to you what you want to do. I am going to hide my, I'm going to pull through my stitching about right here, pull it through, and it'll be hidden when I fold it down. So that is where I'm going to stop and start, is about right here. And yeah, we're going to sew these connectors together now. Let's do it. And just go slow. Try to get your stitches to look pretty, especially if they're contrasting like mine are. I'm going to go ahead and pop this through real quick. All right, my dog is scratching at the door. Oh, goodness. Okay, and I'm going to try and end my stitches right where the other one started. I like to lift up my foot and kind of position my needle and put it right where it needs to go and put my needle down into my material. Okay, so I already pulled through my first 2 threads. So when I pull this out, I'm going to keep a hold of these 2. So I know which one is the back thread that I need to pull through. It's going to be this one right here. I'm going to turn it over and pop that up. Just like that. So now they're all on the back side of my connector, because this is the part that turns down over my, excuse me, over my swivel clasp. So I'm going to knot that. I'll be melting those as well. So when I put my rivets in, that's going to be folded down like that. Okay, so it'll be hidden. All right, so pretty good. The edges look nice. All right, I'm going to do my other connector, and then we'll go back over and finish our painting on it. All right, so I'll tie these threads off and we'll go back over to the table and we'll put our first layer of base coat on. All right, here we are back at the base coat. We're gonna do 2 layers of base and 2 layers of paint. And then these are all done. So the base, when you have the 2 pieces together, the base coat really helps by filling in those cracks. If there's any uneven, you know, pieces, it kind of helps even those out. So it's really important when you're putting the 2 layers together, especially to have that base coat on there. That's what kind of brings your 2 layers so they look like one. All right, those are my 2 base coats. I'm gonna let that dry. It's time for a second coat. Here we go. You can tell too by the second coat, it's kind of filling in those cracks a little bit better. And it's one smooth layer, which is what you want. Oops, too thick. If it's too thick, just wipe it off. There we go. You don't want to glob it. Okay, there's my second coat. Beautiful. Back to sewing. All right, first layer of black on our main connector here. And when we connect it, it lines up with our previous painting there, which is awesome. That's exactly what we want. When you start to get to this point, it all starts to come together and you're like, okay, that looks really good. This is where you should be getting excited. Okay? Okay. I didn't have any like places that I needed to sand down. Mine looked pretty smooth and good, so I didn't have to use any sandpaper. Oh, that looks good. All right. That there. Second one. One layer to go and we are all done, and then we can finish putting these connectors together. Looks pretty dang good, guys. All right. All right, last coat. Here we go. It's looking good, guys. Looking good. Like I said, you could do a top coat if you want. I don't feel like it's necessary for just these connectors, so I won't be doing a top coat. But you do you, boo. Okay, that looks really good. Last one. Got it on material. Get your wipe and just wipe it off. Not a big deal. Beautiful. Okay, after this, I'm going to let it dry for another 30 minutes or so, and then I will finish putting together my connectors and my strap. And we'll be good to go. Beautiful. All right, so we are all edge coated. It's looking really good along our edges here. So the last thing that we need to do is assemble our strap. Okay, so I have this template that comes with the pattern. And I want to use a marking pen here. I've cut out the holes. These are our rivet holes right here. So I am just going to line this up along our piece and mark these holes. We're going to punch them out. I forgot to bring my rivets over here. I need to go grab my rivets. Get my rivets. Got my press, my hole punch, my press, everything. All right, so I'm just going to punch out these rivet holes here. Come on, let's see with that. They should line up pretty nice and easy. Okay. Oops. Stay up here. All right. Some rivets. I got 9mm rivets. You could probably go even a little smaller for this one. Yeah, if you want to. Okay, so I'm going to take it, slide on my hook, and my rivet hole should line up pretty on point. That hole punch is not working that great. Awesome. Let's try that again. There it goes. Okay, and then you put on the cap. You can tell when my hands are tired. All right, come on. Go in your home. This looks so good. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So pretty. All right, I'm going to press that. Awesome. Beautiful. Repeat for the other one. need to do bigger, better holes. Okay, here we go. Oh, other way. I want this to be on the underside of it. Yep, I think I'm done, guys. My hands are not cooperating. Okay, press that. Beautiful. Look at those connectors, you guys. Those are gorgeous. Okay, so the last thing we have to do is connect this all together. I'm just going to show you how I put on the hardware. I have to sew on the little cover on the end here and then sew it together, but I'm going to show you. So you put on your slider first. Okay. Slider first. And then that's going to go over and through this rectangle ring here. And then you kind of push the material up out of your way through the slider. And you want to go farthest away from me first. I'm going to go up the slider and back down through. And then those two pieces right here are what I'm going to sew together. Okay, so once you sew that together, I'm just going to clip it for right now. Once we sew this, our strap is done. And we have a gorgeous, gorgeous crossbody strap. Yay. All right, guys, that's it. I hope this was helpful for all of you who have been wanting to know how to do this edge painting business. It really isn't that hard. It just takes some time. So I encourage you to try it. It's a fun little technique to add to your wheelhouse for bag making. All right. Thank you.